I want to just let you know about these trainings first. She was like, there's a dark side.
Welcome back to Full-Time Yoga Teacher Podcast. My name is Rekha and I am your host. Today, you will get to see or listen to the interview, the conversation I had with Allie Galasso. And this was actually take 2 of the interview. The first interview, the sound quality wasn't great. So Allie was so kind enough to let me interview her for the second time. And I am so excited that you get to hear her story today. I met Allie beginning stages of my teaching career at a yoga studio that we both worked at together. And I feel like our full-time yoga teaching path has been parallel. I consider her my colleague. I go to her to ask questions or get feedback, different perspectives, because we both been teaching and studying yoga for a similar amount of time. And we have similar teachers that we look up to. And she recently even taught me private handstand session, which was so amazing. Allie is amazing at inversions, handstand, arm balances, as well as beautiful backbends. She's also just really free-spirited, fun, and authentic person if you have ever met her before. In this conversation, we talk about menstrual cycle. We talk about how difficult it can be to show up in front of people when you are having a difficult day or challenging day. We also talk about why we love teaching yoga and how path of full-time teaching is beautiful and also challenging at the same time. Allie says her life wasn't always butterflies and yoga classes. She was, however, lucky enough to eventually learn that the pain from her past could be fuel for positive change. That wasn't a fun or easy process, but she is so grateful that her messy path led her to the transformative practice of yoga that she really needed it. She has been practicing yoga since 2012 and teaching it since 2016. She specializes in skillful vinyasa yoga and workplace wellness. You can also find Allie in local businesses, hotels, at special events, hosting retreats, and all sorts of places teaching and sharing yoga with the world. In her classes, expect to move vigorously yet free-flowing, and you'll most definitely get the chance to explore an inversion, arm balance, or backbend. Before class begins, you'll probably find Allie bouncing around, getting her playlist ready for fun and explorative yoga experience. If you haven't taken Allie's class yet, I highly encourage you to take her class. She has a unique and mindful sequencing that I really enjoy. And she is definitely very informed in anatomy and physiology, that she bring that into her class in a very beautiful way. So I hope you enjoy this conversation I had with Allie, and I will speak to you on the other side. Welcome, Allie, for coming to join me on the Full-Time Yoga Teacher Podcast. I'm so excited that you are here. Can you tell the listener, where are you logging in from?
Yeah, logging in from my little yoga room here in Long Beach.
Nice. Are you from Long Beach?
Funny enough, I was born here, but then I really grew up in South Orange County, but now I moved back here when I was 22.
Okay, nice.
Yeah.
And maybe kind of going back and tell us how you got introduced to yoga.
Ooh, going way back down in history. Okay. We were kind of just chatting about this off to the side. I guess I'd done yoga before with my mom. That was really the first introduction at the gym one time, but I started doing it when I was in community college in Orange County. I just had to kind of pick a bunch of random classes, and I was like, screw it. I'm a new person now. I'm going to pick yoga.
And did you like it from the first experience of yoga, or did you not like it in the beginning? What was it like the beginning stage?
To be honest, I am the most terrible student ever. In other things, I'm a great yoga student though. No, I had to pick a bunch of classes, like I said, and I just really liked that it was a chill class. It was no stress. I made a few friends like right away because we were just like, this is kind of cool. We're stretching, we're rolling on the floor. And the teacher was like this older lady that I just thought was so cool. And I was like, whoa, she's real flexible. Damn, she's strong. Dang, she can do this. Like, whoa, this is impressive. And it definitely was like my introduction. I just felt like it was so random, but that was kind of my random introduction. Yeah.
Yeah. So it wasn't like a super vigorous practice. It was more gentle, chill practice that you were introduced to in the beginning.
Yeah, I would say it was more of a Hatha mixed with like a Iyengar style. I guess kind of the same thing, Hatha, Iyengar, slow. We would do some standing poses. We'd explore different things, but I don't really remember it a lot because I was coming out of a dark patch in my life prior to that. So like I said, I was kind of like, I'm a new person. Let me do these new things, try stuff. And yeah, it was definitely like an Iyengar slow, got to just try all kinds of different yoga poses, but at a really chill pace. So
at what point did you realize that you wanted to become a yoga teacher?
So I had got introduced then, and I was going through like so many big changes because I was, in a really bad relationship. I really hung out with people that had not a lot of self-love, we shall say, drugs and stuff. And I struggled with eating disorders. And I was just really a kind of squirrely kid that always seemed to really get myself in trouble for no good reason. I had no good reason to do it. I just think I liked it. And I had been going through all these big changes that led me to taking that class in college. I kind of was continuing to do things. And then I went and I started traveling. And I think traveling just like really opened my mind, really helped with that growth that I was longing for. And I don't even think I really knew it at the time, but that's definitely what I was doing. My actions were going towards this growth. And then I came back from traveling. I was like, oh, I kind of want to get into yoga. Like, I think I used to like it and I like working out now. So I started to kind of like want to be physically healthy. And I started doing Bikram and really this really cool studio in San Clemente. Shout out Bikram Yoga, San Clemente. I'm pretty sure that they're still there. I don't know if it's the same owners though, but that Bikram yoga was just like, boom, I was hooked. And within probably like a few classes, I was like, I'm gonna be a yoga teacher. I heard one of the teachers talking about the trainings. You know how they are with the Bikram. They push the trainings.
So you got hooked with Bikram.
Oh yeah.
I can totally relate. Did you think you wanted to become a Bikram teacher at the time?
Yeah, big time. I really wanted to. I was like, this is the shit. I love this. Feel like mind over matter. Like the mental aspect that went into it was really drawing me in as well as the physical. But like I said, I was just starting to be healthy and want to work out. So wanted to definitely become a Bikram teacher. But this studio, like the owners were so incredibly nice to me. And I would talk to them after every class and she was like, oh, you want to do a training? That's so cool. Like I talked to her about it a bunch of times. And I think she just could kind of tell my personality, or I don't know. I think she was just a really cool, empathetic person. And she was just like, I want to just let you know about these trainings first. She was like, there's a dark side without really saying it. And again, I don't think that those owners even own that studio anymore. I'm pretty sure that they moved to Maui and started their family there. That was the last time I kind of talked to them. I was leaving, they were leaving. Anyways, she was just like, yeah, straight up.
Wow. So was that the time, was it before or after the whole news of Bikram came out?
Before.
And they already knew about it and they wanted to warn you.
Yes, it was. I mean, to me, I don't want to feel like I'm like selling somebody out. You know what I mean? Because honestly, I would want to sell out a creep anyways. And clearly they wanted like to me to pursue being a yoga teacher, but they were like, girl, don't do this. And when I looked into it, I found out how expensive it was, how long it was, how intense it was. And I was like, ooh. So I started doing yoga at a different studio that was like vinyasa, yin, all the different kinds of styles, they had at one, kind of a typical yoga studio now. There's still some different niche studios, but yeah. And then I kind of quickly got out of Bikram once I heard all that. I was like, maybe I should go to yoga at a different studio, because I started, taking my friends to yoga, and then we'd go try different places.
When did you take your teacher training, and what made you decide on that specific 200-hour teacher training?
So I did, I was traveling for a long time. Again, I kind of was like traveling on and off a lot in my early 20s. And I had known that I wanted to be a yoga teacher pretty early on, like to officially starting my practice. And yeah, I decided after that I wanted to just quickly get into teacher training. I was like, I found my purpose. I feel this really, really strong. And I mean, it's going strong now for a little while. So I feel pretty good about that intuitive thought still. But yeah, I basically called my mom, and she moved to Maui when I was traveling. And I was like, I'm going to go visit you before I go back, to the States, which Maui is one of the states, but back to the mainland states. And I want to do a teacher training. And they had an immersive 6-week, 200-hour teacher training there. Or how long was it? Not 6 weeks. It's like 5 weeks. It was every day. We were there for I think 8 hours. And yeah, basically shout out mom for finding me a sick ass yoga teacher training, because I really didn't know, you have to pick a school that you like, that you vibe with, that you like the teachers. I really didn't know any of that. I was just like, I'm doing this. And luckily I picked a great one. She picked a great one because I felt like it was a pretty good teacher training. They're still going strong. Maui Yogashala in Paia, Maui.
Nice. Doing a teacher training in Maui sounds amazing.
Yeah. And since my mom lived there, I got to just stay at her house and hang out with her for a month-ish, a little bit longer. And then the other people that were there, they were from all different states. So it was super cool. A couple locals, but mostly people from all around. And it was just, I loved that, because obviously I was very into traveling, still am, but more so back then.
Yeah. So you did an intensive teacher training, 200-hour teacher training format, which is the same as I also did a 1-month intensive. So mine was 4 weeks. I think it was Monday through Friday, similar to you, 8 hours a day, all day long. And we had a Saturday and Sunday off, I think.
Yeah, I can't exactly remember what mine was, but I did my 300-hour the same way, intensive, but it was kind of a little bit chopped up, 2 weeks on, 2 weeks off, 2 weeks on, 2 weeks off.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And after you finished your teacher training, did you move back to California?
I was traveling all around Asia, like Southeast Asia and Japan and all kinds of other places. And I, just went back actually to my dad's house. And I lived there for just a couple months until I, got a job and secured myself back into Long Beach, because I had been living there before.
Yeah. And when you were coming back from your 200-hour teacher training, did you have a goal to I want to become a full-time teacher? Did you start looking for teaching job right away? How did the
I don't think I was I'm going to be a full-time teacher right away, but I knew that I was going to work towards that. So I had a part-time job for a good little while, maybe 2 years. And then I was just teaching everywhere I could. I would be asking for work off because I knew I'd be teaching. So I would start really making those moves. And then, it's kind of, as a yoga teacher, you work your way into studios. Usually you start practicing there, you get on the substitute teacher list, then you snag your own classes, usually is how it's gone for me.
Yeah. And so you said you were working other jobs for maybe first 2 years and also teaching yoga and slowly increasing your yoga teaching jobs as you were reducing your other streams of income.
Yeah. And then I was working at, Starbucks before I was ever a teacher, transitioned to Trader Joe's, then also Trader Joe's and being a yoga teacher. And then I finally started working at a yoga studio down in Irvine. And it felt just so right to be working at a yoga studio, getting paid to check people in, do the rooms, do all kinds of stuff at the actual studio, and then just also teaching.
Yeah. Did you ever have a doubt that like maybe full-time teaching is not going to work out, or I don't know how I can make enough money doing becoming a full-time teacher? Should I keep my other job? Was there any doubt during this transition?
I feel like all the pieces just somehow fell magically into place at the right time. But yeah, no, I was definitely knew I was taking a risk, I guess you could say, just like making the decision, okay, I'm going to really try to get at least this many classes that I can sub a week. You can sometimes guarantee that as a yoga teacher if you really check in your phone and all those notifications. Luckily now I'm turning some of them off. But yeah, I think everybody has a little bit of doubt up in there. But also rent used to be a lot cheaper. Rent used to be a lot cheaper. So it was a risk for sure at the time, I was still probably getting paid way less anyways, but I was ready to dive right in. Phew, let's go.
Yeah, definitely rent was cheaper back then. Rent's going up so much here in Long Beach, LA, I'm sure the whole state of California, I'm sure the whole United States, but it's becoming tough and tough for sure. So you were slowly making that transition from your previous job working at Trader Joe's to becoming a full-time teacher. When you did actually realize, okay, now I can quit my Trader Joe's and fully become a yoga teacher, how many classes a week were you teaching?
Pretty sure I had like 14 scheduled classes. And then I've always had little one-offs that go here and there, maybe once a month, maybe once every couple months. But, and then I would sub as much as I could.
Yeah. Did you have a roommate during that time, or did you live alone?
I had a roommate for a while. Yeah. And she was a yoga teacher as well. So it was so nice because she had already been teaching longer than me, probably 2-ish or 3 years longer than me. And she was one of the first people I met in Long Beach, because we were yogis. And luckily she helped me, get jobs here and there, and just kind of helped me obviously get into the community. And yeah, having a roommate back in the cheap days was nice.
Yeah, definitely. When you were pursuing yoga as your full-time job, how did your family or friends react to you pursuing yoga as your main source of income? Was there any pushback or disapproval or maybe hesitation from any of your peers or family?
I feel like my peers definitely not, because they were all kind of free-spirited little rebellious kids like me. My dad was definitely like confused, I think. And I take after him where we're just a little bit skeptical of things sometimes. We're like, you can do that? I don't think so. But he is so like stoked on the shit that I do now. He's just like, I'm so proud of you. I can't believe it. I was like, Dad, remember when you used to joke that you could host a teacher training and just train yoga teachers? Because, people have it in their mind, like, do this tree pose and breathe. And now open your chest and breathe. Like, yes, okay, you could be a yoga teacher just being, I guess, really simple and basic. But my dad just joking around thinking, yeah, he could just pump out a yoga teacher and just call it a training. Now that I know all the work that goes into that, I laugh.
Has your dad ever taken your yoga class?
Yeah, he used to take my class every Friday for like a year. And then the pandemic kind of jostled that all up. And now he's just like, I miss taking your classes. He loves my classes so much. And he's like, oh, I can't believe my shoulder feels better after I took your classes for just like a year or whatever that length of time was. And I'm like, see, told you. And he is definitely one of my number one supporters. I think I have like 3 main supporters, Daniel, my mom and dad, probably my brother too, but like obviously them 3 the most.
I love that he's taking your class and he loved it. He loved taking your class.
My brother's actually going to come to one of my events coming up really soon, and he's taken my class a couple of times, but he's
Mhm.
so busy with his job, and obviously he supports me too. He's a kind of a teacher. He's like he was a teacher in schools for a while. He's more of a personal tutor now, but we have similar lifestyles with our business.
Yeah. Oh, that's really cool.
Yeah.
So you actually went on to get 300-hour teacher training certificate. So tell me about your 300 hours. Why did you decide you wanted to do it? And how did you choose which one?
So I basically got my 200 hours, started teaching right away, and had my part-time job, like I said. I wanted to full-time teach, and I wanted to just be a better teacher. I wanted to just feel like I really knew what I was talking about. Because kind of like I was describing earlier, like, oh, just inhale and do this. Like, yes, I could teach yoga, you could say, but there wasn't a lot. I was doing my very best with what I had, and I was continuing to learn and doing all my stuff, but I just didn't feel like 100% confident, like I really knew what I was talking about, even though I did. I look back on my old notes, I'm like, damn, girl, you got this. But you just get, I think, self-conscious as a teacher sometimes. You're like, oh, I want to make sure that I'm really being effective and I'm really helping people and I'm really teaching people something that I find valuable, that I want to share with the world or whatever. And so since I decided I wanted to be full-time, I was like, your girl's gotta shape up. Your girl's gotta dress to impress, teach to impress. And so I picked my 300-hour with Jason Crandall. Love him. Yoga dad. You're the best ever. Because I would always end up on his blogs. I'd always end up on his website. I don't know if he had much of a YouTube back then, but I definitely ended up on his classes as well. And I was like, this is the guy for me. He helps me with my sequences that my students are giving me good feedback on, because he has so much anatomical info, which is what I really wanted to focus on. And that's definitely how I picked him.
So when you chose to start your 300 hours, you weren't full-time teacher yet. You still had other job.
Yeah. And this is where like everything kind of fell into place really perfect, where I was working full-time, well, part-time towards full-time at a yoga studio. And then I was teaching a bunch and teaching more and teaching more and teaching more. And I was like, I'm doing this 300-hour. I was originally going to do it at the studio I worked with, but it wasn't that anatomical focus that I was hoping for. I do think that they were like, have a very high quality training. And I probably would have learned a lot there too. But I chose Jason and I'm super happy I did it. Oh yeah. And I wasn't a full-time teacher yet, but since I was working at that studio, I could easily like take time off because it was a small staff, but a reliable staff. So I was like, I'm going to do this 200-hour. I think maybe they were probably a little salty or this 300-hour. I mean, I think they were probably like, you said you were going to maybe do it here. I was like, yeah, I was thinking about it. I didn't say I was for sure going to do it. And then I was able to just easily transition out of there in like a peaceful, nice way where it was like, oh, well, let's get somebody trained before you just up and leave us. And I was like, for sure. And it was like, okay, all my work's going to be in Long Beach. I'm going to start going to some different studios, start integrating myself. And then I also started teaching at Raw Yoga at that point. And that was a great way to get into like a new community because the studio had just opened there in Long Beach. They didn't have that location yet. And it was like, I was able to take my 300, quit that job, have a little bit of time off, transition into teaching. I was living with Daniel, so I didn't have to pay a full apartment's rent. I think that really helped me out quite a lot. Didn't have a nice car, didn't have a car payment. That was really helpful too. I was living that broke life, that cheap girly life, but still making it just fine.
Yeah. No, I love that though. You chose to do Jason's 300 hours and you really had that faith that, it's going to work out, quitting your other studio job. So maybe tell the listener how is Jason's 300-hour teacher training formatted? Where did you have to travel to? For how long?
I went up to San Francisco to Love Story Yoga, super big studio that they feature a lot of really cool teachers, like kind of semi-famous yoga teachers like Jason. And like Kino McGregor and stuff goes there. She's a big one. But Jason did his there because he's really good friends with the owner. So he also taught classes there, but he wasn't an owner of that studio at all. He was just lucky enough to have that good relationship. And she had her own 200 hours at that studio. But he also hosted his trainings at that studio. So for 2 weeks, 8 hours, 6 days a week. I think we had Sundays off, or Sundays were maybe just a half day. Again, I don't always remember the little details, but I would go there for 2 weeks, come back home for, I think, a month, go back for 2 weeks, come back home for a month, go back for 2 weeks. And we did that 2-week sessions 3 times. And that was the 300 hours. Got my certificate at the end.
And you were very happy with that training. You feel like you learned a lot. You got what you wanted out of it.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. And the people that took that training, they're like physical therapists. They were like doctors, nurses, people that knew anatomy. And Jason would like make jokes like, okay, I really can't make any mistakes. You probably know more about the body than I do. We're not going to talk about it. Okay, let's continue. Like fully, because he's not a scientist or a doctor or a surgeon or somebody that knows anatomy, like really from like a school standpoint. I don't think he like went to school for that. I don't really know Jason's whole ass story, but I know he was just a yogi that was just like, I love yoga. I'm a punk rock yogi. And with his training, there was just him being such a good teacher and just the knowledge that he has and the understanding and the stuff that he used to help show us. It was just like, wow, okay, it's all making sense now.
Was there any point in your teachings that you felt like, okay, I think I'm getting it now, or I think I'm becoming a good teacher now. I feel confident? Because I feel like in the beginning of our teaching career, we're brand new. We're just trying to make it. We don't know all the answers. I mean, we never know all the answers, but there's a lot more doubt and maybe a sense of imposter syndrome in the beginning. It was for me. And maybe there was a point, maybe a few years in, that I felt like, okay, I think everything's making sense now. All the trainings that I've done, it's making sense. And I feel like I know what I'm talking about. Was there any point in your life that you started to feel like, I think I know what I'm talking about?
I definitely, since I had been like doing a lot more research for my sequences, because I was really kind of like peak pose based with my teaching, since I have been mostly a studio teacher. So yeah, like I said, I would always stumble on Jason's website for my ideas for my sequences. And so it was kind of right before my 300 hour that I was like, ooh, I'm feeling this sometimes. This is really feeling right in all the ways. People are leaving happy. I can tell. I had just started to feel confident, took my 300 hour, and it was like, I came back and was just like, boom, I could just hand shit out. Like, here you go. Here's a sequence. Here's a pose. And people were like, I've never done this pose before. I didn't know that about this. So feedback helped, but honestly, I was feeling it on my own, and it's really only going to be effective for me personally if I feel it on my own. You can tell me I'm the shit all day long, but I'm going to be like, no, I need to think that. But yeah, it was positive reinforcement outside of myself and within. And I was just like, this is feeling right.
Yeah. And it seems like that after taking that 300 hour, you felt a lot more confident.
Yeah. Straight up.
Your teaching kind of moved up to a next level.
It was like I was approaching it right before, and I wanted it so bad that then like I said, I'm not a good student in school, but oh my gosh, I was sitting front row, writing down all the notes, doing all the studying and stuff, because I just really like cared to be good at it and kind of know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I love that. And how many years do you think it took for you from the brand new baby yoga teacher until the time that you felt like you were more confident? Probably
like 3 or maybe 4. I feel like I'm kind of a slow, snaily poke pace person. And yes, that is my own phrase. Thank you very much. Snaily poke. And I really feel like, boom, this is my job. This is what I do. Probably once I was at like 5 years or maybe even more than that. I've been teaching technically since 2016 and then really full-time probably 2018, later half of that year. I've now been teaching, if it was 2016, it's 8 years. I think it's 8-ish to 9-ish. There's not like a clear cut date, but probably 5 or 6 years, honestly, when I was like, wow, this is my job and I'm doing this and there's no turning back and I have to own this.
I want to know how many years was in between your 200 and 300 hour?
Like 2.5.
Okay, nice.
Yeah.
I think it's good to have some teaching experience under your belt before doing a 300, because there's a lot of people who go from 200 straight to 300 without almost barely any teaching experience. You can probably gain so much more if you go through some teaching experience before moving on to your 300.
Yeah. And like I said, I'm kind of at a snail's pace with most things. So I feel like I was teaching, but it didn't even feel real, and then took me a while to be like, yeah, this is definitely real. Like I said, I was growing confidence all the while, but now I can just be like, I'm going to teach and I know what I'm doing. And yeah, sure, I still have bad days, especially, being a period haver. Periods can just fuck you right up and be like, everything's terrible. And that is definitely the hardest point when it's hard to teach, but that is really just like a day or so usually.
Yeah, no, I love that you brought that up because it's so true. Like my teachings are so different depending on what phases of my cycle I'm in. And I'm not as great of a teacher right before my period. My energies are lower. I can't communicate. I can't speak as well and smoothly. Like there's so many things that affects your teaching. So I'm glad you brought that up.
I obviously know you are like period queen. That's a really cool nickname for you, by the way, period queen. But periods are just evil when you are a yoga teacher, because truly I walk into class and I'm like, can we lay in child's pose and breathe and hum together and just love each other and not do this fucking side plank right now? But also sometimes I have like crazy bear energy and I can just like fucking go through it. But like my speech, I flip letters. I do the thing where my words starting with the wrong letter, but they do a little that's always funny. I just make a joke out of it during class because I'm like, this is me today. Yeah.
I think it can be challenging when we work for a studio or gym where we are paid to teach, let's say, level 2 vinyasa every Monday. But every Monday, you are going to be in slightly different energy level, different phases of our menstrual cycle. But to bring same level of intensity or energy to the class every week, same time, is difficult because of our menstrual cycle phases. So we're kind of going off tangent, but when I teach my online virtual yoga studio, I make my monthly schedule 1 month in advance. And I consider which day of my menstrual cycle I'm going to be in. So I'm going to teach more yin and restorative and gentle yoga around the time that my energy is going to be lower. And I'll put more high energy classes during the time of my ovulation. So I can teach those classes with more high energy. But we can't do that when we work for another studio,
Yes, I'm so jealous of that because I need my own virtual yoga studio. Okay, here we come. No, but it is definitely hard. And yeah, I've learned how to just kind of sit there and stare at people with my arms crossed and be like, okay, you're going into side plank and doing all this shit. Go for it, you crazy people.
Well, I love this tangent conversation, but I do want to go back. I want to ask, have you been mostly teaching at yoga studios since you became a teacher? Have you taught at other non-typical studio location?
Yeah, I've been mostly a studio teacher, and I'm really happy about that because I feel like it really let me interact with a lot of different students and a lot of different people in a quicker period of time. But yeah, I've worked with businesses. I have taught at hotels, in hotels, I guess I should say. I have, taught in businesses. I've also taught on Zoom for them, taught in private settings at people's homes, private settings in studio. Let me think of what else. Events, been doing a lot more events. I hosted one retreat, but last year and this year are definitely my event years where I'm doing a lot of that, but still teaching in studios. That's kind of probably my main income.
Mm-hmm. I think it's good for listeners to know different places yoga teachers could be teaching. And I feel like you just shared a lot of those. So that's great.
Yeah, like privates, are you at a yoga studio? Are you at your house? Are you at their house? It's all very different. And that one-on-one interaction. I respect people that are like full-time private yoga teachers because I find myself a bit more drained on those ones usually. I love a private session, especially if it's for handstands or arm balances. Love those sessions. If it's just a private session where they don't really know what they want and we're just kind of doing yoga and they're trying to figure it out, those are the hardest ones to do.
Yeah. For me too, I have way more experience with group teaching. That's how I started my teaching. And now I have a little bit more private experience, but I just interviewed, I interviewed a yoga teacher named Brittany that her episode just came out last week, but she's full-time private yoga teacher. And she used to see 40 clients a week, private. Now she has reduced to a little over 30 private clients a week.
Multiple a day.
She sees about 8 clients a day. It's so hard for me to comprehend seeing that many private clients. But she says for her, private clients is not as draining as teaching group classes. She says, I can't imagine teaching more than 10 group classes, but for her private, she can do. So it's so interesting that even, talking to different yoga teachers, we have different preferences and different ways our energies get drained easier, or we are able to maintain our energy depending on the type of classes we teach.
Thank goodness we're all different because, there is a lot of yoga teachers, but there are jobs for us out there. They are there. Sometimes we have to make them ourselves.
Yeah, good point. We have to kind of pave our own path that works for us. And I think that's what this podcast hopefully is highlighting. So I want to talk about the pandemic. When pandemic hit, I feel like a lot of yoga teachers' work and life kind of flipped upside down. So how did pandemic have impact on your teaching and your teaching career?
I had been full-time teaching for probably 2-ish years and it abruptly stopped. I literally taught my Monday classes, woke up and it was like, the world is closed. You're not coming to work. Bye. And my partner, my fiance, my partner at the time, just only my partner. Now he's my fiance. Daniel, he had one of those jobs that he had to go to work all the time. He never really had, I don't even think he had that initial day off. They were like, no, you're coming in, because he's in logistics and people need things to still move, even during a pandemic, apparently. And I was just at home twiddling my thumbs. La la la. And yeah, everything just abruptly stopped. And then it slowly started that, studios set up the cameras and the live streams and the Zooms, and you and me were teaching on the weekends at our studio, one class each. And it was I signed up, for unemployment, applied for unemployment. Getting that was great. Pandemic, unemployment, cool, set up. Obviously, that's not the case when you normally get unemployment. So super unique situation to be in, and I'm sure you were probably in a similar situation. And yeah, hosting my own Zoom classes, going on IGTV, doing everything and anything that I just kind of saw my fellow teachers doing. I was like, well, I guess I'll try it. Started a little YouTube channel, which I'm actually going to drop a bunch of my new stuff on there soon, which I'm so excited because do not look at those old YouTube videos. Cringe. I was not used to recording myself, and oh my God, is it awkward to record yourself and teach yoga? You're like, did I really just say that? Oh, Lord, have mercy on my soul.
So you were teaching some online classes. Me and you taught at the studio together, virtual Zoom classes. I think twice a week or something like that. Our teaching definitely dramatically reduced during that time. And, studios and classes slowly started coming back. Do you think the pandemic has affected how your teaching path now? How has it shifted now that things are opening back up, or things are fully open now in California? Has it been different since before the pandemic to now in terms of maybe how much you teach, or maybe your mindset or your perception on your teaching career?
Yeah, because I went from like 14, plus the sub classes that I would do, like 14 plus classes a week, down to like 4. Because like I think we taught 2 classes virtually at the studio. I luckily had a business client that stayed with me, like a private client, but it was like a group of their employees. And then I started to do like a Zoom class once a week or twice. So I was teaching, went from 14 and more down to 5, maybe 4. And that even took time to get to, because I think the first couple of weeks it was like, I don't know what's going on, or maybe just a week. I don't really remember exactly, but it definitely was. I was like, this is tight. I can take a break. My body needs it. I can kind of just teach whatever the fuck I want, which is nice, because I kind of felt like, oh, it has to be this amount of difficulty. It has to be this amount of intense. It has to be this crazy pose, or not crazy, but, complicated pose. And it was freeing for me to feel like this has to be different. So I'm going to just own what it is, and I'm just going to teach how I want to teach. I think I didn't do sun salutations one class, and I was like, this is lit. We did like super varied versions of it. We were still doing all the same stuff, planks, chaturangas, backbends. But I was like, love this. I am being me. This is cool.
I think definitely from what I saw, the pandemic, even though it was a challenging time for many of us, it kind of brought more power back to yoga teachers. So, like you said, you could teach whatever in class you wanted to teach. You could reach directly to your students to come take your class, and you could make 100% of the money that students paid you for that class, rather than studio taking a certain cut and you getting a very set amount from the studio. So I feel like for some teachers, it was a very empowering time. And, some teacher who had a huge following did amazing during the pandemic. They made probably so much more money than they used to when they worked for a studio. So it was an interesting time for yoga teachers for sure.
Yeah. And like, it's easy to talk about now and like see the good points, but girl, I was like definitely a little bit depressed, super duper anxious, having like anxiety attacks, which I don't normally have. So it was a really hard time where I was like, fuck, I need a new career. This shit is dead. Oh my gosh, I'm going to go nowhere. Everything that I have been working towards, because I was just starting to like host my own workshops and do events and feel more confident. And it was just like, so there was dark moments for sure. But just looking back on it, I'm just like, yes, there was really cool parts of it. Now that we're out of it, it's much easier to be positive about it. But I was not always positive during it.
Yeah, I remember me and you, we would meet up at the park by the water lagoon and, have a little picnic and chat about life.
Yeah, because it was like, we really didn't even see too many people for probably a good 6 months. We were all kind of like,
but I was very grateful to have somebody like you and a few other people and the community to kind of lean on. And
yeah, because we were like, oh, with COVID, we've already been around each other. We kind of know if we've been exposed or not. So we can kind of still be around each other, which was like, oh, thank goodness.
Yeah. So that was very necessary time. So I have a good memory of us hanging out outside in the park by the lagoon.
Yeah, girl, same.
I wanted to ask, so what does your average week of full-time yoga teaching look like now?
Lots of group classes, at 2 different studios, at a gym, and just Allie hustling, doing a little this, doing a little that, maybe 1 private client per week. She's pretty consistent. And then random private clients. Sometimes it's every week in a row. Sometimes it's scattered. What else? Teach at a hotel too. I was recording for a good minute there, but I'm not really anymore. But probably will be doing that soon. Like I said, I have a good little hidden library right now that I'm going to put on my YouTube. Yay, excited about that. And yeah, lately, like later last year and then going into this year, I'm on my computer a lot more, just doing a lot more background work. I've been able to get in contact with different people, I guess just, networking a little bit more, trying to not like sit back and just let things happen, but try to make things happen. I have my yoga and beer, which is really cool. That's happened like 3 times over, 3 months consecutively. So yoga and beer once a month. So at least one of my weeks per month involves at least, 2 beers.
And how many classes a week are you averaging right now?
I think it's like 12. Yeah, we'll go with 12.
And do you feel pretty good about that number? Is that a number that you are happy with? Do you want to teach more? Do you want to teach less?
Yeah, I'm super happy. And like I said, I have a fiance, so it's not just me affording my own apartment all by myself. Luckily, I have somebody to split all my stuff with. Yeah, I feel really good about it. Probably if I lived on my own, I'd have to hustle a little harder, I think.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm happy that I don't have to right now. It's nice. I pretty much am stoked to go teach every class, minus those depressed period days. But no, I'm super stoked like on my job and my work life balance. What is it called? What's the work life balance? I don't know. My regular life and my work life.
And then that kind of brings me to the next question of, if necessary, could you fully support yourself financially through full-time yoga teaching? That's, I feel like, one of the questions I get a lot from newer teacher who wants to become a full-time teacher. Is it possible to fully support yourself?
I think I would probably like have a roommate if that kind of answers the question. I could 100% do it. And maybe I would have a smaller apartment or have like a room in a spot. I feel like with the price of apartments now, oh my gosh, I don't actually know if I could really afford one by myself. But I think if I just added a couple more classes and made myself a little bit tired, that would make up for it to where I could, probably live on my own, maybe not in Belmont Heights, maybe down the road a little bit.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. No, that makes total sense. I feel like ever since I started teaching yoga, I always lived with somebody. I had roommates for a really long time. I lived in a big house with, all the rooms rented out to different people. And now I live with my partner. So I always had the privilege of it'll be nice to have my own apartment, but with my teaching career, maybe I could, but then I would have a lot less money if I had my own apartment. And it has to be a very cheap apartment if I had my own. So definitely living in LA or California, I think it is difficult, not impossible, because I think I interviewed Amber Koslow. She's doing it. She has her own apartment, I think. It's not impossible, but I think it is difficult in Southern California to live and work as a full-time yoga teacher and be able to afford your own apartment. And I'm not saying it's impossible. I think it's just a little bit more difficult now.
Yeah, it definitely definitely been privileged with having a roommate, but I think that's just been my lifestyle always. I think most people that are working and, kind of live in a typical lifestyle, I guess you could say. Well, yeah, Southern California, we got roommates. I don't know any of my friends that live so low. They all have roommates. So I think I make a very normal income. I pay for my car, got car insurance, all the normal adult shit. I pay my taxes. What's up? I still owe a little bit, whatever. It's fine. I'll pay them very soon. Hopefully the government's not listening. No. Yeah, I would just have a roommate and a slightly smaller apartment. I feel like, my two friends that live down the street, yeah, what they would pay for rent, splitting in half with a roommate. Yep, that's what I'd be doing.
Mhm. Yeah.
We all do it out here in SoCal, baby. We pay for the sun.
Yeah. I heard somebody say we pay the sunshine tax here. That's why everything's so
what we are doing.
Yeah. Well, looking back at your journey, what are some key pieces of advice you wish someone had shared with you early in your yoga teaching career?
People shared some pretty good advice. Did I take it? I don't know. Did it sink in? I don't know. Let me think. I wish that people done told me I had to be on Instagram posting my yoga ass self on there all the time. I know that's kind of like silly and little, but seriously, you got to be like, if you're a yoga teacher, you got to have that website, that business card. You got to post about your stuff in some way, shape, or form, whether it's Instagram or maybe, any other social media or newsletter, cha-ching. You have to get your website out somehow. And your website is how they can contact you, book with you, inquire with you, all the stuff. So I knew it, but I didn't realize that you actually I feel like you actually have to. I guess that's my own experience and opinion, but you kind of have to get yourself out there in some way, whether it's word of mouth, you're connecting, you happen to be real popular, maybe a lot of people. It's like, hey, I'm a yoga teacher, hire me. Everybody has their way that they have to get it out there. So I don't think I realized that was going to be, good part of my labor nowadays.
Yeah. I can relate in terms of as a yoga teacher, full-time yoga teacher, it's not just teaching hours that we're working. We're actually working a lot of, like you said, behind the scenes stuff, whether that's social media or your YouTube channel or your website or you're on Canva making a nice graphic for your promotion, whatever it is. There's a lot of unpaid labor that goes behind the scene that we have to do quite a bit. And everybody has a different priority on which platform they prioritize. But yeah, definitely, I feel like for me too, there's a lot more work when I'm actually not teaching. The teaching hours are work as well, but there's a lot of hours and hours and hours of work that is unseen.
Yeah. And another little one is just obviously people tell you to be yourself and be authentic, but I think I was still in such a journey, every day I get older, I feel like, I know myself a lot better and I'm more comfortable with myself, but I also think that took me a long time. So I wish I was just able to take that advice early because I definitely think people gave me that exact advice.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. And what aspects of being a full-time yoga teacher do you love the most? And what do you find challenging?
I definitely love that it keeps me accountable just to be kind of a better person than maybe I default am or can tend towards. I am a squirrely, kind of my brain is always firing things off. So it really keeps me more grounded, more level, more chill. I can really, love myself more easily, which is kind of a big one. And challenging bits, probably already said it, period days. When you're not feeling good mentally, when you're going through something really hard, that's when I find it the hard. When I'm going through something really hard, I should say, that's when I find it the hardest to teach. That's the biggest challenge when I'm just so down on myself, not having a good day, just having one of those dark cloud days. I find it so hard to be like, I have to go talk in front of people and motivate them. Oh gosh, no, not me, not today.
Yeah, that's a good point you bring out that maybe a lot of teachers don't talk about or bring out as much. Sometimes it is difficult to bring yourself in front of others and to lead or guide or be the facilitator when you're not feeling 100%, whether that's physically or emotionally. When you're having a bad day or when some things are happening in your personal life, it can be very challenging to bring that teacher self out in the world.
Yeah, that big time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's definitely a good point that I don't think any other teachers I interviewed brought up. I think it's so true.
I'm in touch with that dark side and that light side.
And I want to ask, what does your yoga practice look like these days?
I take class with my two fave teachers, Jason Crandall, my yoga dad, and my yoga mom, Nikki Silverman. They both were teaching in person before the pandemic, and then during the pandemic switched to completely online. I think Nikki only just now started teaching in person, and she moved out of state, so she's not here anyways. And so I do my yoga at home a lot with them, like following a class of theirs, or I just have my own really chill, pretty short practice, kind of just rolling on the floor, just kind of almost like a self-massage. I do definitely have my yoga tune-up therapy balls. I do actually do that a lot too, but it's either kind of creative, intense vinyasa class, a slow vinyasa class with Jason, or it's like, I'm chill, I'm rolling, and, try to sprinkle in a little meditation in there too.
I love that. And the classes that you take from your teachers are online. Is it live Zoom classes, or is it mostly like pre-recorded class from their platform?
Mostly pre-recorded, but since I graduated with Jason, he sends out a Zoom link for his graduates, and we can meet with him pretty much once a month, and he'll teach us a class, which is really cool. And Nikki does once in a while Zoom classes that I do live with her as well. But Jason's on Glow. I wish he would have his own platform. Maybe that's in the works. Jason, do your own platform. I know you're listening to this podcast, because Reka is basically famous.
I think that's another positive thing that came out of the pandemic is that we have access to our teachers that may not live in the same town that we live in through Zoom or through online pre-recorded classes. Before the pandemic, I was not able to practice with my teacher, Annie Carpenter, unless she traveled to LA to teach a workshop, or I traveled to her to take her workshop. But now I can take her classes consistently 2-3 times a week, like every week, her Zoom classes, so she can interact and she can be like, Reka, bend your right knee a little bit more. She can give me feedback. That's something I'm very grateful pandemic brought, is that access to teachers, being able to take classes from teachers who don't live nearby.
Yeah, definitely. Same. I'm so happy because I love my teachers a lot. I love them.
Yeah. And what does success mean to you as a full-time yoga teacher?
I'm paying my bills. What's up? Not in debt. Hello. Love that. I also just feel like my life is comfortable, and that's definitely success to me. I make enough money. I strive to make a little bit more money just to kind of, I don't know, compete with Daniel, since he has like a full-time regular person job, like a typical job, in quotes. But I feel like I'm just comfortable, and I push a little bit to work a little more. And I'm also just happy to like not have to feel like a chicken running around with their head off right now. I'm like, cool, I have work, I have people, this is awesome. Life is good right now. It might not always be like that, and it definitely hasn't been like that until recently. So I'm enjoying this wave while I'm on it. I'm sure something will come in to crash my wave. We will wait for that patiently.
No, I think it's great what you said, that being comfortable, or like having that contentment now, and not needing to hustle, and not being pressured to, I must be working more, I must make more, because that's kind of what the society pressures us to do, especially maybe living in LA. I don't know. I haven't been a yoga teacher outside of LA before. But sometime last year, it really made me realize, because I have a tendency to overwork and put too much on my schedule. But last year really made me realize, at what cost is it worth it for me to be this busy if my health is suffering, or if my mental health is not doing well, my body is exhausted? At what cost is it worth it to keep working this hard? And I know it's a privilege. You know, some people have to work hard to be able to put roof over their head and buy food. But I think this year I'm trying to learn to slow down a little bit, even if that means I make less money. Yeah, so I really appreciate what you're saying, that you don't have to be like work, 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 push, 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 go, 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 but you can kind of, you know, relax and still working and enjoy what you do and still be able to give the 100% that you can give because you're not overworked, you know?
Yeah, and since I feel more comfortable in my teaching and I'm used to it now in a way where it's like, yeah, this is my thing. I show up and I do this. Now I have the ability to put a little bit more effort into my side stuff. And, I feel like I'm privileged and totally spoiled and, have a cool, chill life, but there's bumps. But I think I can fully acknowledge I'm chilling and I'm super grateful. Not that I haven't struggled in the past, but I am just chilling right now. Love that so much. And super duper grateful for all the support that I have in my teaching right now, in, my personal life. I'm just so happy.
Yeah. I forgot to ask earlier, but do you have a non-negotiable in your teaching? Like you don't teach on this day, or you need to have at least 1 day off a week or 2 days off a week, some kind of rules, or it doesn't have to be a rule, maybe a guideline.
Yeah, since I teach Monday through Friday now, I definitely like to just have the weekends off. I do a lot of things on Saturdays and then once in a while on Sundays, but I need at least 1 day off. Very rarely I don't have that. And then I cry myself to sleep. Just kidding. I dramatically just cry myself a river. But I definitely like my 2 days off. Monday through Friday, I try to pack it in. I have once monthly things on Saturdays. So I super duper need my time off because my brain has to rest. And again, I feel super lucky that I get to take those days off. If I was all on my own without a fiance partner, I'd be working on the weekends, type of thing. And I'd still have nights off or something like that. I need time off to just, even with my part-time jobs, I was never I'm working 48 hours a week. I was 40 or 32, I'm paying my bill. Cool. Done. Mm-hmm. I'd always have a little money that I was saving. Scoot it in there. Get the travel money.
Yeah, I think I hear from almost, I think every teacher I interview having at least 1 day off, preferably 2 days, 2 consecutive days off. I think it's very beneficial.
Yeah, I used to do the working 1 day off, working 1 day off. No, none of that for me now. I need the full day, or 2 is even better.
Yeah, definitely. So where do you see your yoga teaching going in the future? Do you have a goal or a specific path that you want to see yourself walking through?
Yeah, I definitely, I'll just spill the beans. No, we're manifesting. I definitely want to be able to host my own 200-hour or 300-hour. Love educating new yoga teachers so very much. I think I don't even have that imposter syndrome because I'm just I want to share knowledge. Not that I think I'm better than anybody or know more necessarily, but I feel like my teaching path is one that lends itself to it. I could just look back on a lot of things and be damn, would have changed this. So maybe because I could see my mistakes kind of easily, or at least what seemed like mistakes or, bumps to get over. I definitely want to be teaching teachers, and I'm already, making little steps toward that. That's probably my big goal.
Mm-hmm. I like that. That's exciting to hear. And is there anything else that I didn't ask you that you want to say on this podcast, or anything you want to, I don't know, share with the listener? I don't know, advice or anything you feel like you haven't said yet that you want to share?
You didn't tell me how amazing and perfect I am yet. So I'm just waiting for that. No, no, I think this was good. I am happy to share with, hopefully some new teachers listening or people that want to become teachers or whatever. have tuned into some of your eps already, and I just love listening to yoga teachers. It is so different. I listen to them and I'm like, I want to do what you're doing. Like, I don't often end up doing anything, but they're inspiring, in such a way where it's like, wow, I want to do that shit.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I'm sure your stories are going to be inspiring others. I have a couple people already asked me, are you going to interview Allie? I'm like, yes, it's coming.
Oh my gosh, I feel so loved.
Yes, I know you and Karen were probably the first two on my list of people to interview. Of course, I feel like we've been side by side teaching for a long time together. And also, we go to each other for advice and all of that and support. So thank you for your time. And I really appreciate this. And tell the listener how they can find you, any upcoming offerings that you want to share, any socials you want to share. Just tell us how they can find you.
Okay, are you ready? Get your pens out. Write this shit down, people. This is going to be the most important thing you've ever learned in your life. My Instagram is AlienJG. My initials are AJG. So I'm a little alien. My name is Allie. AlienJG. To have it make somewhat of sense to you. My website is hathamood.com, Hatha, Hatha, mood.com. Cause we're in that mood. We in the mood. Yeah. I have my beer and yoga event that's been going on once a month. There might be some additional beer and yoga with also another teacher friend of mine. So yeah, that's at Alter Brewing. You can also follow them on IG and just see the class on there. You'll see them on my website and all my stuff too. I have this really cool event going on in March, which it's almost March right now. I don't know when this is coming out, but maybe you'll hear it before. If not, doesn't matter. I have like a yoga and wine and this little event. It's like a soiree, we're calling it. And it's going to be fancy and a little bit bougie out in Beverly Hills. Really excited for that. Handstand stuff coming up. I've already done a few. And that's coming up as well, probably April and June. Don't hold me to that, but please check it out. Again, go to that website, baby. Pretty much, that's it. That's where you'll find me. That's where you'll find all my things. I'm around Long Beach. You'll see me.
All right. I'll definitely to make sure I'll tag all of that on the show notes. And I can attest, I have taken, Allie have taught me private handstand class recently. And it was very helpful. So if anybody's looking for any tips on handstand, Allie is your girl if you want a private one-on-one work, or maybe even a tiny little tip that she can give you that might make a huge difference in your handstand or inversion practice. So definitely recommend Allie for all of that stuff. And anytime she has a handstand inversion workshop, I think those are all great ones to take. Thank you, Allie, for your time and chatting with me today. It was so fun. Thank you. I hope you enjoyed Allie and our conversation together. Hopefully you could tell from our interview that, we're good friends. We chat about yoga quite a lot. And I actually enjoy the tangent we went into about menstrual cycle and how it affects how we teach and what kind of energy we are able to bring to the class that we're teaching during different phases of our menstrual cycle. If this is something that you are interested in exploring more, I don't mention this on my podcast so much, but besides being a yoga teacher, I am also a fertility awareness educator, and I love talking about menstrual cycle. One of the topics I like talking about is how different phases of our menstrual cycle has a different impact on our daily lives, especially as a yoga teacher and movement lover. If you like to work out, exercise, just move your body in general. So if this is a topic that you're interested in and you want me to go deeper in one of the episodes in the future, I can definitely make an episode about this topic. If you let me know, leave me a feedback, I'll definitely take your feedback. So I hope you're enjoying this podcast. I love when I get feedback from some of you. Some of you write me on Instagram, or when I see you in person, you give me a great feedback, and I love it. So keep sending me, your thoughts on these conversations. What was interesting to you? What are some questions you want me to ask to future interviewers? Or if you have somebody you recommend I interview, just don't be shy and send me a message anytime, whether that's Instagram, website, email, or review on this podcast platform. You can find me on Instagram at Reika Yoga, and my website is www.reikayoga.com. And I would so much appreciate it if you could share this podcast to other fellow yoga teachers that you know who might also find these kind of conversations interesting and helpful, or somebody's trying to become a yoga teacher. So that is it for today, and I will speak to you next week. Bye.